Savannah James looked at her husband, her eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to do this, LeBron," she said with a trembling voice. Standing before her was not just the world's greatest basketball star, but the father of her 3 children. LeBron placed his hand on Savannah's shoulder and made perhaps the most difficult decision of his life. This decision would change not only the James family's course, but possibly the history of basketball itself. Today, we'll tell you the story not of the king you see on the courts, but of a husband and father. Have you ever had to make a real sacrifice for your family? Have you ever considered, deep in your heart, what you would be willing to give up for your loved ones? This story is exactly about that. And what will surprise you isn't the magnitude of the sacrifice, but who made it. That cold December morning in 2022 started normally in the James mansion in Los Angeles. LeBron had returned home after an early practice for the Lakers' evening game. In the kitchen, Savannah was preparing breakfast while Bronny worked on his college applications. Bryce was busy with a school project, and little Jury was watching cartoons. A perfect family portrait. But everything changed with that single message on LeBron's phone. When he read it, his expression froze. Savannah immediately noticed the change in her husband. "What happened?" she asked worriedly. LeBron handed his phone to his wife. On the screen was a message from Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka. "We need to talk. Urgent. We received an offer that could be a turning point for the team." No one that morning could have predicted what would follow this message. In his meeting with Pelinka, LeBron received perhaps the most surprising offer of his career. A massive media company from China wanted to buy LeBron's name rights and storytelling. The offer was incredible. $700 million for 2 years. But with one condition. LeBron would participate in a reality show that included his family and would spend 9 months of the year touring China, Europe, and Asia. This meant his children would have to leave their schools, Savannah would have to give up her own career, and the entire family would have to live their lives in front of cameras. Pelinka said, "It's impossible to refuse such an offer, LeBron. This means financial security not just for you, but for your entire family. Even your grandchildren's grandchildren won't have to work." LeBron thoughtfully left the office. Sitting in his luxury Range Rover, he looked at his own eyes in the rearview mirror. He had played basketball his entire life. As a poor child, his only dream was this: to provide a good life for his family, to ensure they never experienced poverty. Now before him was an offer beyond all his material dreams. When he returned home, he found Savannah alone. The children had gone out. LeBron explained the offer in full detail. The expression on Savannah's face showed she understood the magnitude of the situation. "That's a lot of money, LeBron," she said quietly. But, said Savannah, concern in her eyes, "this isn't just about money. This is our life, our children's lives." LeBron sighed. Savannah was right. This wasn't just a basketball contract. This was a decision that would affect his family's privacy, normalcy, and perhaps even their happiness. "Bronny has college dreams," Savannah continued. "Bryce has made new friends and is shining on the school basketball team. Jury, she's still so young. I don't want her life to be spent in front of cameras." Just then, the door opened and the children came in. Bronny was holding college brochures, his eyes shining with excitement. "Dad, I got an email from Duke. Coach K wants to meet with me personally." LeBron looked at his son, feeling both pride and confusion. Bronny's dream of going to Duke had been something they'd talked about for years. But now this offer. "That's great news, son," said LeBron, forcing a smile. Savannah could see the conflict in her husband's eyes. That night, LeBron couldn't sleep. Staring at the ceiling, he wrestled with one of the biggest dilemmas of his life. $700 million. The figure kept spinning in his mind. It was more than everything he had earned on basketball courts. But at the same time, it was a decision that would completely change his family's life. In the morning, there was a special meeting at the Lakers facility. Representatives from the Chinese company had arrived, ready to sign the contract. Pelinka was excited. The Lakers management was excited. While everyone was waiting for LeBron's signature, he was still undecided. When he entered the meeting room, at least 10 people were sitting around the table, all in suits, all with serious expressions. On the table lay a thick contract file. "Mr. James," said the Chinese executive Mr. Zhang, "it's a great honor to work with you. This agreement will be revolutionary not just for you, but for the entire basketball world." LeBron slowly sat at the table, his eyes catching the figure in the contract, $700 million. When he raised his head, he saw everyone looking at him. Expectant looks, excited looks. And at that moment, a notification came to his phone. Looking at the screen, he saw a photo from Savannah. In the picture, their 3 children were together. Below it was just one message: "Whatever you decide, we are always with you." A lump formed in LeBron's throat. As he put his phone on the table, Mr. Zhang impatiently asked, "Is there a problem, Mr. James?" "No," said LeBron, taking a deep breath. "I was just thinking about my family." "Ah, your family," said Mr. Zhang with a smile. "There will be great opportunities for them too. Special schools, luxury travel, the chance to create their own brands." LeBron shook his head. "Mr. Zhang, I want my children to live a normal life. Bronny wants to go to college. He wants to play basketball, not for cameras, but for himself." The atmosphere in the room had changed. Pelinka gave LeBron a worried look. "LeBron, perhaps we can discuss the details later," he began, but LeBron raised his hand. "Thank you for your offer," said LeBron, standing up, "but my family is not for sale." The surprise on Mr. Zhang's face slowly turned to anger. "Mr. James, you don't understand the magnitude of this deal. This is the largest offer ever made to an athlete in history." As LeBron walked towards the door, he said, "I understand. And that's exactly why I'm saying no." As he left the room, his heart was beating rapidly in his chest. Walking down the corridor, he took out his phone and called Savannah. "I said no," he said simply. There was a silence on the other end of the line. Then Savannah's voice came. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure," said LeBron. "I'm coming home by taxi. Let's have dinner together." That evening, the James family had the most peaceful evening they'd had in a long time. LeBron didn't tell the children anything. For them, this was a normal dinner. But for LeBron and Savannah, it was a celebration of one of the most important decisions of their lives. The next day, the news created a bombshell effect in the sports world. Headlines screamed, "LeBron James rejected $700 million offer." Sports commentators were shocked. On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith was shouting, "This man must be crazy," while other commentators tried to understand the reasons behind the decision. At Lakers practice, teammates were giving LeBron curious looks. During a break, Anthony Davis came over. "Is it true?" he asked. "Did you really turn down that much money?" LeBron nodded. "My family is more valuable." Davis thought for a moment. "Most people wouldn't do that," he said. "I respect that, King." Throughout that week, LeBron faced questions about this decision everywhere. In press conferences, on social media, even walking down the street. Everyone wanted to know why. Finally, a week later, LeBron decided to speak in an interview. He was in a special interview with Ernie Johnson on TNT. "Why did you reject it, LeBron?" Johnson asked. "This could have been one of the biggest athlete deals in history." LeBron thoughtfully leaned forward. "You know, Ernie, I grew up in the poor neighborhoods of Akron. My mother Gloria sacrificed everything for me, everything. Sometimes our electricity would be cut off. Sometimes we didn't have money for food. But she never gave up. Now I have 3 children, and I can give them everything materially. But most importantly, I can give them my time and presence." Johnson nodded understandingly. "What about the money?" $700 million. "Money comes, money goes," said LeBron. "But a graduation ceremony you miss doesn't come back. Your son's first college game doesn't come back. Your daughter's first dance show doesn't come back. I'm not just a basketball player, Ernie. I'm a father first." There was a silence in the studio. Johnson's eyes had welled up. Even the cameraman was affected. After that interview, the perception of LeBron began to change. Criticism gave way to appreciation. On social media, the hashtag #FamilyIsEverything trended. Thousands of fathers and mothers praised LeBron's decision, sharing their own stories. But the real impact was within the James family. When Bronny was accepted to Duke University, LeBron went with him on a campus visit. No one gave the famous basketball player passing by a second look. That day, he was just a proud father. As Bryce had a brilliant season on the high school basketball team, LeBron attended almost all of his games. Sitting in the stands watching his son, the expression on his face told everything. This was a happiness that no championship ring could provide. And little Juri was enjoying every moment she spent with her father. LeBron would draw with her, go to the park, and sometimes even participate in her toy tea parties. Yes, the world's most famous basketball player was drinking imaginary tea from little plastic cups. A year later, life took an unexpected turn for the James family. Bronny had completed his first year at Duke. Bryce had started thinking about his university choices, and Juri had started elementary school. LeBron had agreed to complete the final season of his career with the Lakers. On a cool September morning, as LeBron was reading his newspaper at the breakfast table, he saw a striking news item. Mr. Zhang's company had gone bankrupt. Billions of dollars in investments had been lost. The company's executives were facing charges of financial manipulation. "My God," LeBron murmured. Savannah looked at him from across the table. "What happened?" LeBron handed her the newspaper. "Remember that deal I turned down? The company went bankrupt." Savannah read the newspaper, her eyes widening. "If you had accepted?" "I probably wouldn't have received anything," LeBron completed. "And as a family, we would have lost a lot." That evening after Lakers practice, as LeBron sat in the locker room, Anthony Davis came over. "Did you hear the news about Zhang's company?" LeBron nodded. "I heard." "You were lucky," said Davis. "You escaped a major disaster." As LeBron thoughtfully tied his shoes, he said, "It wasn't luck. There was a feeling inside me. When something sounds too good to be true, there's usually something wrong." Davis paused for a moment. "What about the $700 million? Did you ever regret it?" LeBron straightened up, his eyes shining. "Not for a minute. Seeing Bronny wear a Duke uniform for the first time, watching Bryce win a championship in the school tournament, being there for Juri's first reading day. These things are priceless." As the season progressed, the wisdom of LeBron's decision became even more evident. He had not only avoided a financial disaster, but had also given his family invaluable moments. In December, Bronny came to Los Angeles with Duke for the first time to play against his father. For the first time in NBA history, a father and son would face each other on opposing teams in a professional game. The media had gone crazy. Tickets had sold out months in advance. Before the game started, father and son met at center court. Cameras were ready to capture the moment. LeBron hugged his son, whispered something in his ear. Bronny smiled. "What did you tell him?" asked a journalist after the game. "I just told him, never forget this moment, because I never will." That night the Lakers won, but the score didn't matter. What mattered was a father experiencing the honor of playing against his son, a son feeling the pride of competing on the same court as his father. When LeBron retired at the end of the season, he had completed his career brilliantly. 4 championships, countless records, and an indelible mark in basketball history. But in his farewell speech, he talked more about his family than his achievements. "Basketball has given me a lot," he said, his eyes welling up. "But I found the most valuable thing myself. My family's love. Savannah, Bronny, Bryce, and Jury. You are my real championship." In the years after retirement, LeBron often thought about that decision. Turning down $700 million was something most people couldn't do, but he had never regretted it, because what they had gained was far more valuable than what they had lost. Today, LeBron James's place in sports history is undisputed. But perhaps his greatest legacy is not the points he scored on the courts, but the love he showed his family and the sacrifice he made. In ESPN's latest documentary, they asked LeBron, "What was the best decision of your career?" LeBron smiled, his eyes sparkling. "Turning down $700 million, he said without hesitation. "Because money can buy you championship rings, but it can't give you a loving family. And I've always believed this. Family is everything. If this story teaches us anything, it's this. True wealth isn't in your bank account, but in the moments you share with your loved ones." And perhaps LeBron James's greatest achievement isn't being the world's best basketball player, but being the father of 3 children and the loving husband of a woman